Hey guys, welcome back to another video. My name is Machine Builder. Today I'll be teaching you how to make your own workable chairs. So you can sit on these chairs and basically they're fully functional as chairs. But yeah, it's just a quick demo. Set up a little table. As you can see, you can click on these chairs to interact with them and sit on them like this. Just click on it to sit on it. So that's how they work. So let's get right into it. Okay, so first thing we want to do is make a new block. So in your behavior packs, you should have a blocks folder. And by the way, this is working off the pack that we made in the previous video. Not the previous one, but one a few videos ago, where I made the custom directional blocks, where I made the chairs. There'll be a link up in top right somewhere. It'll pop up. But yeah, so you go into your blocks folder, and I'm just going to make a new file. I'll just use this one, and I'm going to call it chair_usable. And now I'm just going to open it up. So here it is. This is the chair we made in the previous tutorial with the directional block thing. So I'm just going to change the identifier to chair_usable. You don't want two blocks with the same identifier, otherwise they clash and cause issues. And the first thing we're going to do, obviously you need to be able to interact with this block, and the interaction has to summon an entity which is facing a certain way depending on the chair's rotation. So each of these rotation variants needs its own interact component, which will summon an entity facing a certain direction. So in the first one, we're going to have a aircraft on interact, and here we're going to have an event, spawn, rideable, rotation 0. So this will be an event we create down here in the event section, which is going to summon our mob that we ride at our 0 rotation. So I'll just copy this out and then change these numbers to 1, 2, and 3. So now we have 3 different events which occur, and now we can make those events. Okay, so this event we're creating is going to be called force player ride, and this is basically just going to force the player to ride the mob that we spawn, which has the rideable component. So we're going to make a run command and target with the other. So basically this event will run a command on the player, and the command will be ride at S, start riding at E, type equals machine builder chair_usable. Set this identifier to the identifier of your block, because we're going to make an entity with the exact same identifier later. So that's mine, and then count equals 1, teleport rider. That's going to TP the player onto this entity riding it. So it's just going to force the player to ride the chair, basically, to sit on the chair. And now this next event, we need spawn, rideable, rotation 0, and this is the first rotation. So in here we're going to have a sequence which can run multiple things in one event. So we're going to use this to call a run command, and this will summon our entity that we have here. So this chair usable thing, and I'm going to summon it one block above the chair, just because that's what I did. I guess I don't have to actually, I'll just do that. So we'll just summon it inside the chair, so at the exact same coordinates, and then we're going to execute at E, type equals machine builder chair usable, count equals 1, and you can just do that, 3 tildes, TP at S. So this is going to TP the chair entity to its current position, and I'm going to set it to facing one block in the Z direction. So basically it's going to be facing the positive Z direction. So that's that first thing done, and now we need another entry in the sequence, and it's going to trigger event, and this just triggers this event. It's just quicker than writing this whole section out again. So now we need more rotations. So number 1, we'll face it in the negative Z direction. I already worked all this out, so you don't need to worry about that as long as you're using the same rotations I am here. But that should all be correct. And now we need number 2. And number 2 will be facing in positive X direction, and then number 3 will face in negative X. And that should be all we need for this block. So now the block is done. So now back in the behavior pack, just new folder, entities. If you don't already have one, you need to make this new. And then I'm going to make a new file, not a rich text document, but I'm going to call it chair usable.json. And in here, I'm going to have a format version set to 1.16.0, Minecraft entity, and then we need a description for the entity. So identifier, same thing we said before, so machine builder chair usable. And then is spawnable, should be false because we don't want this mob to have a spawn egg. Is summonable should be true because we want the summon command to work. And is experimental can be false as well, just because it doesn't need to be experimental. And then we need components for the entity. And then we also need component groups for the entity. And then we also need events for the entity, so there we go. And in components we're going to have a Minecraft rideable, which basically allows the player to ride the entity, obviously. So family types, if I can actually spell. This is going to let any player, any entity with the family type player, which is only players, ride this chair mob. So seats is going to be 1 seat, position 0.0, and then I think it should be, I'll set that for 0.0 first, and then we can adjust it later. So I'm not really sure what that should be yet. And then we need a Minecraft family type family. Set this to family. I'm just going to call this chair and inanimate. You don't always need to set up a type family, but it's just good practice. So in case you want to make a mob that targets chairs for some reason, you can because you have this family set up already. So Minecraft health, I'll set this to 1 because it doesn't need to be anything else. So value 1, max 1, Minecraft collision box. Width can be 0.1, height also 0.1. Doesn't need to be a big mob since it's only going to be temporary and it will just be despawned afterwards. So now Minecraft physics should be as gravity false, as collision also false, and then we need a Minecraft environment sensor, and then triggers for this and event, and this will just cause the mob to instant despawn when it doesn't have a rider. So filters will be test rider count and then value 0. So when it has 0 riders, it will just instant despawn, and now we need to make that event. So here, instant despawn is going to add component groups, instant despawn. So now we need to add the component group that we just referenced. So instant despawn is going to trigger, or it will add the component Minecraft instant despawn. And this component basically just despawns the mob straight away. So that's useful for this situation, and I think this file is done. Okay, and just quickly, back in the block, we need to add a loot table for this. So over here, under entity collision, I'm just going to add a Minecraft loot quickly. Loot tables / blocks / chair use.json. Just because rotational blocks cause issues with Minecraft's loot table system. So when it drops the block, it kind of drops a bugged version of the block that you can't place back down. It does weird things, so this is just a way to fix that. And then obviously we're going to need that loot table, so just create a new folder in here if you don't already have one. Loot tables, and then inside here I put it in the blocks folder, and then here I called it chair usable.json, just because that's the path I referenced here. And this loot table, this is just how you set up a normal loot table, so whether that's for entity drops or whatever. I'm just going to set it up to 1 role, and entries type will be an item, name, machine builder, chair usable. So basically this is going to drop one of these blocks, and the weight should be 1 as well. This is going to drop one of these blocks when the block is broken, so as a loot table. So it's basically not different from what we had before, but this time it won't drop the bugged version. So that's a little bit better. And so that should actually be all we need for the behavior pack stuff. We have our block, we have our entity, our loot table. And now onto the resource pack. First things first, we should probably add a entry in the lang file for our new chair. So chair underscore usable. I'm going to call this usable chair. And now another thing we're going to need is a texture for this. So blocks, and you can just copy this and change it to chair usable, and we'll set this up in the terrain texture. And I'm lazy, so I'm just going to adjust the hue and saturation of this. Okay, there we go, and just up the brightness and contrast a bit as well. And now I can save this, and there we are, texture's done, very quick. And now terrain texture, we have to add this new chair. So chair underscore usable, machine builder underscore chair underscore usable links to this texture, which is the one we just made. And now over in blocks.json, we have to add the chair. So chair underscore usable is the identifier, machine builder chair underscore usable, and this is the texture path that we just made here. And I'm actually using the same geometry that I made for my other chair, so I don't need to make a new one. But if you're making a new block, then you should make your own geometry for that. But obviously I do that in the previous tutorial anyway. Okay, so one last thing before we load the world, I realized this texture name is wrong. So this should link to machine builder chair usable, just because it was causing the wrong texture to load. So now once we load back into this world, we should be able to see this new chair. Here it is. And we have our usable chair and the old chair. So this is the old chair. I'm right clicking. You can probably hear that because my mouse is very loud anyway. But it's not sitting on it, it's not doing anything with it. So that's the old chair. And new chair, right clicking, we sit on the chair, which is great. But obviously we can tell something is not right here. Something is clearly very wrong. So I'm going to up the seat position in the entity file. So over here I'm just going to open up the entity that we made, and here is the position for the seats. So I reckon I'll just go up like 0.35 or 0.3. 0.3 should be enough, and then we'll check what that looks like. And so here we are loading back into the world, and if I sit on this chair, you can tell it looks alright. It's a little bit high, but I'd say it's good enough. If I just take off my armor, I might be able to see the legs a little better. You can probably move it down a little bit, but this is good enough for my liking. Doesn't seem to ruin anything, doesn't look bad. And you might have noticed at the bottom of my screen there's that little pop-up thing, action.hint.exit, blah blah blah. We can define that in the lang file to fix that up. So I'm just gonna save and quit and open up the text and then the language file here. And I'm just gonna type in action.hint.exit.machine builder chair usable, and then this will be equal to tap jump get off the chair, because all the vanilla things like minecarts say tap jump to exit the minecart, so I'm just going to say that. And now if we load back into the world, we should see that that message has been fixed, and now actually it looks correct. So if we get on, tap jump to get off the chair. So you tap jump and you're off the chair. And then you can set up little things like this. It's a little dining place to eat food, chicken. You can obviously do a lot more than this if you're willing to build a house. And you can make more furniture like this, and you can even make stools as well, just the same way, but obviously without the rotation, so it's a bit less confusing and hard to do. But yeah, if you like this video, make sure to like and subscribe, and if you really like this video, please do share it, because that helps me out a lot. And I hope this did help you with your add-on creating, and I'll see you in the next one.